Good morning and welcome to Monday's Market Outlook here at TGO. That's Top Gun Options. I'm Wiz. My name is Matthew Buckley, and we just knocked out our weekly options brief. We usually do it every Monday at 1 o'clock. Got to head down to Miami this afternoon for an appointment, so we did it at 10, and we closed what we called a burner trade. So on February 4th, I said, hey, man, it looks like we're going to get something done with China in the short term, and I want it to be a quick strike trade because I think we're actually going to sell on the news when Trump gets something done. We looked at, and we called it a burner trade for this reason. We looked at a bull put spread on FXI. That's the iShares China ETF. We sold the 42.5, 42 bull put spread. Brought in a credit, right? That's a credit spread, took some of that credit, and we just bought some long calls, the 44 calls, and this was out to the regular March 19 expiration. 2-week-ish trade that, you ready for this? When we just closed the webinar, we closed it for a $6,600 profit. Okay, so look at this. 225 update, closed the burner trade by legging out of calls and spread separately for a $6,600 profit in 2 weeks. Now, if they weren't interested in the burner trade, some of my members said, I said, hey, if you weren't going to do that, Wiz, what would you do? I said, I'd buy 15 of the March 19 40 calls. You ready for that? You could close those calls today for a $3,000 profit in 2 weeks. Take a look at FXI. Let's take a look at how the FXI is performing today. FXI, look at that, up over 2% today. So this is when we put on the burner trade right there, and look at the FXI. We nailed this one, man, up about over 7% pop out of FXI. Now, I'm getting ready to get bearish. Stand by for that. So nice. If you did both those trades, look at that. Over $8,500 in profit. Unlimited risk, folks. Unlimited risk. Love it. Great looking trades. So why are we seeing a pop here? Well, the president yesterday, which is pretty interesting on a Sunday, before the Chinese markets opened on our Sunday night, the president said, hey, I'm feeling pretty good about the trade negotiations, so I'm going to slide the March 1st increase in tariffs. Remember, we're still firing right now. There's no such thing as a ceasefire. A lot of the media got it wrong when they said, hey, the president agreed to a ceasefire in Buenos Aires. A ceasefire to me as a former military officer means stop shooting. We didn't stop shooting. We kept our tariffs in place. They were set to go up on March 1st, and the president said, no, we're looking pretty good. Looks like we're going to get a trade deal done soon, so I'm going to delay them. Well, guess what happened over in China, man? Chinese stocks rip your face off rally, soared into a bull market on massive volume after the tariff deadline delay. I got to be honest with you, but let's take a look at something. This is why you want to be a TGO member. The market is up today, seeing a nice 170-point rally in the Dow, and the VIX is up. You ready for this? Write this one down if you're not a TGO member. And you really need to get on board here, folks. Market is up. VIX is up. Something is up. And I'll say that again because you need to understand this. Remember, folks, the VIX is the volatility index. It goes up on uncertainty, right? People hedging against uncertainty. What's the uncertainty? So market up, VIX up, something is up. What's up, man? 1, 2, 3. We are literally at the 2808 level, is a quadruple top in the S&P 500. And we have come way too far, way too fast. What's happening as well, folks? Well, there's a lot going on this week. The Fed, Jerome Powell, the Fed chief, has his annual or semi-annual Humphrey Hawkins testimony in front of the Senate and the House this week. So he's going to speak for 2 days. Knowing this dude, he can say anything. But we get a lot of housing data this week. Building permits, housing starts, Case-Shiller, and the Conference Board's consumer confidence numbers. Wednesday, again, his testimony continues, but we get our trade balance, pending home sales. And then Thursday, what was that? I'm sorry. Wednesday night, China data. Manufacturing and non-manufacturing PMI. That can move our markets as well, or at least move that FXI trade. I don't think those numbers are going to be good. And remember, when it comes to Chinese data, if they're reporting it, I don't believe that data. I don't think they're going to be it's going to be good, and that means don't even believe it. Then we get our GDP on Thursday. Remember, GDP comes out in 3 types: advanced, preliminary, and final. Advanced tends to have the most impact. Why? Because it's the first one. So we're going to get our GDP to see if we're slowing down. Chicago PMI. And then on Friday, a lot of inflation numbers, but also personal spending, personal income. Okay, and then University of Michigan consumer sentiment, some manufacturing PMIs, and total vehicle sales throughout the day. Huge macroeconomic week. If we see this soft, or if the Fed says something that, which would shock me, that would be hawkish, I think we head lower. But that's the reason the VIX is up right now. This is a huge uncertain week. We're at new highs. We're all, we're in striking distance of getting back up here to the record highs. What's the catalyst to head higher, folks? If we get a trend, it really feels like we're in this hot car, in Florida. We've been driving for a year to get to Disney World. We keep saying, when are we going to get there? And the president keeps saying, we're almost there, we're almost there, we're almost there. I think we're going to sell on the news with a trade deal, man. So it's going to be very. And for last Friday, there was about 4 or 5 Fed lieutenants running around giving speeches. This dude, the Atlanta Fed chief, said what? I think we're going to get at least 1 rate increase this year and another in 2020. Remember when Jerome Powell ended capitalism back here, saying they're going to raise interest rates this year, then stopped and said, nah, never mind, we're not going to do any of that. When he said we're not going to do any of that, a lot of market heavies kind of said, not only are we not going to get any increases this year, I think we might even get a cut. That's not what this Fed lieutenant said on Friday. He said we get 1 this year and another next year. So, and he also, here's some interesting words. Central bank policy should let the U.S. economy do what? Stand on its own. There's a worthwhile, noble cause that the stock market and the economy should stand on its own without Fed intervention. So, folks, one of the reasons we've seen this rip your face off rally was the market more or less believes that there's a Jerome Powell put in this, right? That the Fed's going to hang out and take care of us. Well, this lieutenant's kind of saying we shouldn't be there. Very, very interesting. Interesting interview with Warren Buffett this morning. Hey, man, I way overpaid for Kraft, but of course he's not going to bail out of it. He's going to stay into it. As we all saw last week, SEC notice and a lot of buffoonery going on at Kraft, and it was interesting seeing that guy. But remember, folks, everything's overbought right now. Gold, equities, treasuries, everything's overbought, and usually that is maybe time for a little bit of a pullback here. So market is up, VIX is up, something's up. The something that is up is the market's hedging against an increase in volatility and maybe a market pullback as we hit this quadruple top. So it's going to be a very, very, very interesting week here in the markets. Really, as I said last week, we're kind of at a precipice here. We're at this 28.08, which is where we topped out the last 3 times and imploded. I mean, what's the catalyst to go higher? Not too much. I actually think the next leg up in the trade, I'm telling you, I feel that we sell off or give some of this rally back on news of a trade deal. I mean, the president just keeps saying, remember a year ago when when the president would say, hey, just talk to Xi, we're going to get a deal done. The market would rally, huge news. Now we're actually going to maybe meet in a couple weeks, and the market's like, eh. So I think it's going to be a sell on the news. So if you want to trade with us, we have 3 trade briefs the rest of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And we actually have full throttle training Tuesday and Thursday night. We're going to be talking about covered calls and get into spreads. I'm going to start teaching this stuff. So if you want access to that for the price of a glass of wine down in Miami, do me a favor and head to go.topgunoptions.com/goflight. That means, hey, man, I'm ready to go for flight. For only $38, you can get airborne into our live trade briefs, okay? So go.topgunoptions.com/goflight, and for $38, you can get airborne with us for the rest of the week, okay? I got to get going. Got to send out that notice to my current members about the $600 and maybe total of $60 or $9,800 if you did these calls for $3,000. Right? 3,000 plus 6,500. That's nearly 10 grand in 2 weeks in profits, folks, on limited risk. Give us a test flight, folks, and check us out. You won't be disappointed, okay? Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge, and I'll be back with Tuesday's Market Sit Rep tomorrow.